Comments.
Thank you, President Thompson. I'd like to begin by informing the board and public of several important announcements. So today and any future public meetings will adhere to the Governor's Executive Order N-3320, which states in the language, all individuals living in the state of California to stay home or at their place of residence except as needed to maintain continuity of operations of the federal critical infrastructure sectors. Education is defined as a sector under other community-based government operations and essential functions. The language further reads, workers supporting public and private child care establishments, pre-K establishments, K-12 schools, colleges, and universities for purposes of distance learning, provision of school meals, or care and supervision of minors to support essential workforces across all sectors. It further reads, workers and instructors supporting academies and training facilities and courses for the purpose of graduating students and cadets that comprise the essential workforce for all identified critical sectors. And lastly, the order reads, gatherings of individuals who are at high risk for severe illness from COVID-19 should be limited to no more than 10 people while also following social distancing guidelines. And this is why, for the public looking in, this is why we are 6 feet apart from one another. And again, this is also why our public meetings can only be live streamed at this time. I'd like to thank those community members who emailed a public comment to mgarcia@santapaulaunified.org prior to this evening's meeting. And our administrative, well, as a matter of fact, Ms. Thompson, our board president, I believe will be reading those public comments during the public comment section of our meeting. I really want to also take this opportunity to inform the board of how responsive and positive our administrators have been while planning behind the scenes and how hard they've been working to ensure phase 1 of our learning plan was ready to implement this week. I want to also thank and recognize the district's union leadership for working with us to ensure we are all moving in the same direction to support our students and families. I want to thank our teachers for making contact with our students' families. Lastly, thank you to our classified staff who are also working behind the scenes, and for a few of them working at the school sites, and for all the others working from home. Everyone is pulling their weight to complete our primary task, which is educating our students. I want to mention a quick note to the public and to anyone who serves on school district committees that all district committee meetings are postponed until further notice. I'm sure everyone already knew that, but I wanted to make that official. And in closing, I want to reassure the Board of Trustees that we have a very hard-working staff that is committed to provide the best education possible for our students under the unusual circumstances we are currently facing. And lastly, I want to thank our Child Nutrition Services Director, Suzanne Stamp, and her CNF staff, who have been tirelessly reporting the work, making grab-and-go meals for our students. They've done an absolutely fantastic job, and Mrs. Shevsky will later provide further details on their work during the COVID-19 update. That concludes my superintendent comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cora. And now public comments. I don't think I need to read this really because it does not pertain to what we're doing tonight. But just so you know, in accordance with Education Code 35145.5, the board cannot enter into a formal discussion or make a decision on any matter not on the agenda for this meeting. So now I have letters submitted by people who would normally be here to read, and I will read them to you. The first is from Patricia Zavala. Good evening. I hope that you are all well during this difficult time. In regards to the COVID-19 distance learning plan, I'd like to emphasize the importance of equity for all students. I ask that you keep in mind the demographics of our students. 88.6% of our students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, and 35.8% are English learners. Not all homes have internet access to a computer, or a parent who understands the materials given to students. We are all in this together and must keep our most disadvantaged and vulnerable students in the forefront of this plan. Thank you and take care, Patricia Zavala. And next is Chase Stewart, a junior at Santa Paula High School, who's on the Santa Paula High School boys wrestling team and is in fact the team captain. Dear Board of Education, I am a junior at Santa Paula High School and I am asking that you please curb the grades and give us students a fair chance at redeeming our current grades as of 3/13/2020, the last day of classes. Please give us...
Staff is now in the conference.
Okay, that wasn't me. Okay, please give us the appropriate amount of time to raise our grades, as some of us were in the middle of improving our grade point average when this virus crisis occurred. Thank you for all the work you are doing behind the scenes. We students do understand that this is a difficult time for everyone, especially the staff. With gratitude and respect, Chase Stewart. All right, and the next letter is from Elva Zamora, a parent at McKevitt. As part of distance learning, will kids be allowed or have access to take AR tests from home? As a parent, I think it would be very beneficial for our children to be able to take tests on books they are reading during school closure, as it is a part of their school day routine. That way, their reading and comprehension can continue to be tracked. My kids keep asking why they can't take AR tests from home. They love reading. Thank you, Elva Zamora. And next will be Miss Jeanette Ortega. Good evening, Superintendent Cora, Board President Thompson, members of the board, staff, faculty, students, patients, and citizens. I pray all your families are safe and in good health as we go through these uncertain times. I have seen the many attempts the Santa Paula Unified School District is trying to implement in these newly chartered waters we have been unfortunately dealt. Your efforts to remain in contact with parents and students is not enough. I see many parents and students lost in trying to navigate through this themselves. I understand that this is a major reconfiguration of the way our school system has to work. We as parents look for guidance through this from you, our children even more so. Months ago, I called to have my phone calls by the Santa Paula Unified School District system looked into by Maricela. She informed me that I had opted out of these calls, which you know I would have never done. She then sent me a text to reinstate them, which I did, and still no calls. I called the other day and Maricela was able to restore my calls. I would like to thank her for the grand effort she does in her job every day, today and every day she works for this district. I was lucky to be able to navigate through Facebook and other social media where I found the information out myself. As you know, our community has many parents that do not use social media where they can access this information, so they remain lost. I would ask you to look into the phone call system to make sure each and every family is receiving these important calls. I also have a student who is a junior in high school and had to navigate and find ways to still study for her AP exams. I told her to reach out to the AP teachers to find resources. She did, and they had no answers. I would ask you to reach out to these teachers and help them navigate in a more proper way on how to proceed with the AP students. I have an 8th grade student who was in the middle of an IEP evaluation and have not heard of what is going to be done with this evaluation. Many IEP parents don't know how to proceed. I ask you to please not forget all these parents as you move forward in your decisions on how to further navigate through this dilemma. And in conclusion, how do you plan to help those students and families that cannot leave their houses to pick up equipment, food, or enrichment packages because of a mandatory 14-day quarantine awaiting test results? I am sure as time moves forward, we will have more and more families in that predicament. Jeanette Ortega. And the next letter is from Jolene Anaya. My name is Jolene Anaya. I have 2 students who attend Isabel Middle School. My concerns regards our city's current situation with distant learning are as follows. Number 1, how would students' grades be determined, and what methodology would be used to calculate students' official grades? Number 2, one of my students has a 504 plan. The district has not been clear in regards to who is in charge of the 504 plans. My child has had a 504 plan since 1st grade. This year has been very challenging getting the school and the district to ensure my student would be accommodated. I am concerned that the district used an expired medical authorizations to obtain my daughter's medical records. I understand if now is not the time to handle this matter. I look forward to getting back to this specific issue at an appropriate time. And number 3, please advise parents whose children have a 504 plan and will be promoted to high school for the next school year. What steps will the district take to ensure these students will have their 504 plans for next year? Jolene Anaya. Hello, my name is Lacey Gleason Cardenas. I am the mother of 4 children who are all a part of Santa Paula Unified School District, and like all other children affected by this whole pandemic. First off, I would like to say thank you to the district for thinking of their students at this time of craziness. My main concern is that my children will be working so hard to keep studies a part of their lifestyle, but to my oldest children, it doesn't mean much. I feel like they should be getting some type of credit for the work they do and show them that their work is paying off. My main concern is the high school students. They already know that all this elective work is not mandatory work, so it is not going to drive them to want to complete it or even entertain the fact to do any of it. We as parents should be teaching our children that hard work pays off, and I feel like this is not showing them anything besides to brush up on their studies. I guess I am just wondering if there is any way, like Oxnard School District and other school districts are doing, to keep them involved in their studies by giving them some type of credit for all the work that they pursue. Once again, thank you so much for all the hard work. I know that it is not an easy situation for anyone, and I thank you so much for your time. Lacey Gleason Cardenas. And the last public comment is from Juan Ojeda. Good afternoon, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Juan Ojeda, wishing that each of our families and your families are safe and secure. It's a very difficult time for the whole world to be going through. Thanks for being here this afternoon. I am the president of the ELAC committee at Isabel Middle School. Through this commitment, I am asking what alternatives the district is taking to support English language learners. I am a representative of DLAC for Graceville Elementary School, and I'd like to ask, what is the district's plan is to support English language learners? In what manner is the district evaluating the needs of the students according to their grade level and academic level? Once classes were suspended, did the district think to contact parents to help develop plans for our students? I understand that the district is not requiring the student to do his or her work, as they would not increase or decrease grades. The work that was sent home was only to keep students busy. As you know, we are low income and many students do not have access to the internet and much less have the opportunity to have a computer or tablet at home. How does the district plan to help these students? What will happen and how the comments and suggestions of the parents from ELAC, DLAC, LCAP, MPDAC be considered? The school site councils at all schools have issues that need to be discussed, planned, decided, and is there a plan for school site council meetings or any other committees? We are all currently frozen in a way that does not open any movement. I would appreciate it if you would please answer each of my questions in writing, and just as we keep each of the families in our district informed in the best possible way and in Spanish, please take into account that we do not all understand information on a social networking site. A voice message would help if it is very detailed and with an appropriate and understandable vocabulary. God bless each of you and your families. Juan Ojeda. All right, and that is the end of our public comments. We will move on to information item 5A, COVID-19 update. Staff will provide the Board of Trustees updated information regarding the district's response to COVID-19 as it relates to school closures and essential functions, including meal preparation and distribution, a distance learning plan, and the safety of our students, staff, and community. Dr. Cora?
Thank you, President Thompson. And to our board, while this information we're going to be sharing could have been provided to the board in writing as an update, I thought it was important to be able to do it face-to-face, and also it gives us an opportunity to show the public what's happening, because there's a lot, there's a ton of stuff that's happening behind the scenes that has taken a lot of planning and work to get us to where we're at. And like every other district, most K-12 districts and schools did not have distance learning as part of their daily work. So I've been saying, there was a commercial, I can't remember what exactly it was for, but they were building an airplane in midair while the plane was flying. And that's what we felt like we've been doing. And not just us, all schools in all districts throughout California. Colleges have had distance learning for a while, but you know it didn't happen overnight. I had to look at my calendar, I had to remind myself that the phone call with superintendents from Ventura County was on Thursday, March 12th, where we started talking about where we were and that the county public health department was probably going to call an emergency for the county, and that's when we decided as the 20 school districts in Ventura County that we would go ahead and close down at least for a week and see how things are going. Well, as everyone knows, we've gotten worse since then, and we met again to talk about when would we be coming back. And according to the governor, it could maybe be a year. We don't quite know that, but my point being, since Friday the 13th, Ms. Shefferly has taken the lead and been working with her education services staff, and we pulled in union leadership, our principals, directors, and we've been building this plane as it's been flying in midair like all the other districts. So I want to first say thank you to everyone who's been assisting Ms. Shefferly and to get this learning plan going. Is it perfect? Far from it. But I think most districts would say the same thing. And what we'll do tonight is, again, giving the board an opportunity for first-hand information, to be able to ask questions, and to be able to, again, give the public an opportunity to understand what's been happening behind the scenes. We'll first have Ms. Deshevsky cover meal distribution and what's been happening, and I think that's been a big plus. Some of our principals have been helping out. As a matter of fact, I think at some point all principals have helped out. I've been out there, Kevin's been out there helping out. We'll then get into some employee updates. Dr. Torres and Ms. Sanchez-Reyes will give a little bit of an update on our employees. Ms. Aguirre will get into covering a little bit of the safety that we've been talking about and planning and doing as well. Ms. Shefferly will then cover the distance learning plan and where we're at and where we're going, and then I will close at the very end. So that will give you a little bit of an update, and again, each one of our cabinet members will give you an opportunity to ask some questions, so take some notes, and again, we want you and the public to know what's been going on. Okay? So with that being said, to the public, so you know, there are only 5 board members, myself, Ms. Shefferly, Ms. Garcia, Michael, one of our techs, and Mr. Allen recording, so there's only 10 of us in the room. The other members are on phone, and they are on mute right now, but we'll be having them go one at a time, and the public should be able to hear them. We did a little test earlier. And again, I asked everybody to be patient with us. This is the first time we're ever doing this, and I'm sure we'll learn some lessons from tonight, and we'll improve for future meetings until we have to continue doing this, okay? So with that being said, meal distribution, Ms. Deshevsky, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, can you please provide the board with a little bit of an update on what's been happening and where we're going from here? Thank you.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me? I'm going to assume that's a yes. I don't.
Yes, they can.
Okay. Hi. So we're on day 8 of closure and day 8 of meal service. We started last Monday, the 16th, and we served just over 700 meals. We hit our peak last Friday, where we served 1,886 meals, and today we hit 1,735 meals. In total, that's 11,049 bagged meals that we sent home over the last 8 days. And there's actually 2 meals in those bags, so you can double that to 22,098 meals. So we've serviced a lot of families in our community, which is a great thing that we're doing. And I want to commend the CNS staff as well for their commitment in coming in every day and making sure that we get it out as many meals as possible to our students and their families. So just to give you some statistics, over and above that, we currently have about 12 CNS staff, including Suzanne Staff, the Director of Child Nutrition Services, working daily at this point. We've also had some conversations with neighboring districts, and the consensus seems to be serving during spring break. So Santa Paula Unified will be providing meals to our students during our 2-week spring break. We have currently submitted a waiver request to CDE to hopefully serve a 5-day meal on both Mondays of our spring break. So on Monday, April 6th and Monday, April 13th, we'll provide families with 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch. What that does mean is we would not be open Tuesday through Friday. And we're going to see how that goes. Once, of course, we have to get the waiver for CDE to proceed with that model. Assuming we do, because they've been pretty giving a lot of latitude to districts, and we do know that a neighboring district, Oxford Elementary, has actually been implementing that model as of this week, I believe. So we anticipate approval and moving forward with spring break with that model. And again, we will assess the success of that model and whether or not when we return from spring break, if we will continue with serving meals day to day or go for a Monday pickup. We've been open for pickup from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 every day at both Barbara Webster and Glen City. And again, we've been very successful and provided a lot of meals to our students. Are there any specific questions that the board has about our meal service plan so far?
I just had one quick question. I know that I heard on social media about children have to be in the car now. How's that going? Do they have to be present for pickup? Could you explain that?
So originally we weren't requiring students to be present, and again, this is day 8. We keep getting changes in waivers and different ways and methods of providing meals and everything else that's going on across the state. So we did get some information towards the end of last week, and so there was a call that went out last weekend requiring students to be present. That was currently the USDA's requirement, but again, things change day to day, and we are in discussions of whether we want to lift that requirement or not.
Thank you.
But we're doing our best to try and keep social distance as people are picking up their meals. And of course, Barbara Webster and Glen City have a little bit different setup, so we're trying to accommodate that as best as we can. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I just want to say great job to everybody for doing that. And our community really depends on it. So we really appreciate all the work you guys are doing.
Any other board comments or questions? Okay. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third item, employee updates. Dr. Torres and Ms. Sanchez Reyes, you're on.
Okay, good evening, board. This is Dr. Torres. First of all, I want to say, during this unprecedented time, I want to commend the union leadership on the certificated side for, coming together and working with the district in regards to our MOU. And, we've had a great response from our certificated employees. We've had a significant amount of them wanting to volunteer to come in and assist and work on, helping the district and helping our students, which I have to commend all of them. So, we actually created a volunteer email address, so like that they can go ahead and submit, that they were interested in volunteering. So I commend them for wanting to do that. And, but also, as we continue to roll out our new distance plan and learning plan, I have to say that we've had a significant amount of our employees log on, and about 98% of them logged on to our Jive system application, which basically will allow them to communicate with our parents via the computer. So, in a matter of 24 hours from the time we sent out the information, they were really engaged in getting on and setting up their accounts. So I commend overall, I commend everyone in regards to, the effort, and also even our certificated management for coming in and really coming together this time of need and all that to make sure that our students receive the best, service that we can this time. And then even today, we had a significant amount of our certificated staff come to campus, even though we really encouraged them not to show up. But they wanted to connect, they wanted to be there, and then again, they still wanted to go ahead and volunteer as much as possible. So, I commend, like I said, I commend the leadership with the association and teachers within our district for doing what's right and doing what's best for students. Any questions?
I have a question. It's Pam. Were the teachers able to get their materials and take them home? Is that part of what they were doing in coming in, so that they can set up their lesson plans and things like that?
Yes, that was today. What we did was since we closed last Friday,
Staff has left the conference.
some teachers were out, so they didn't get an opportunity to get their laptops or their devices or any of the teaching material that they would need in order for us to move forward in implementing distance learning. So we wanted to give them an opportunity to come into work and pick up any of those materials that they would need as we move forward in implementing the additional phases of our distance learning plan. And then we also gave an opportunity to, as long as they were isolated within their classrooms, that they can reach out and contact their students, because we know how valuable that would be for our students. And I know Chrissy was going to go ahead and talk a little more about the various phases, but today was an opportunity from them to actually come in. And we had a significant amount of our employees coming in today. Like I said, even though we discouraged it, but I think it just shows how much they care and really want to be involved in ensuring that we're doing what's right for students.
And I have another question. And tell me if I'm jumping ahead. Are they going to be doing distance learning from their devices at home, or are they going to go into the classroom? I've never been through this before, so I just don't know.
Well, I know Ms. Shefferly is going to go ahead and give more information in regards to what she's been working on, and so I will go ahead and defer to her in regards to this.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from Dr. Torres, certificate staff? Okay, Ms. Sanchez Reyes, are you on?
Yes, I am. Good evening, board. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
we can.
Okay. With classified, our department has been busy in obtaining contacting our employees, classified employees, to come and work for the child nutrition department, as well as we had custodians come in the last 2 days, and they'll be there tomorrow, cleaning up the Chromebooks to get them ready for the students, as well as the library staff in logging those Chromebooks. And also today, we had our school administrative assistants at some of the sites come in to help out in the distribution of packets. Everybody has been working very closely together and working with CSEA. Ilda and I are in contact almost every day. She's the CSEA president, just to make sure that we are following the process with classified employees and calling them in by seniority for the classification. And that's about it. Are there any questions?
Ms. Sanchez-Reyes, thank you. Board's good. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move ahead to the next item, which is safety. Ms. Aguirre will cover safety and what we're doing and where we're going with safety for our students and staff. Ms. Aguirre.
Good evening, board. I have 2 areas of safety that we'll be covering, and I have Mr. Schmidt on the line as well as Mr. Arjun. Mr. Schmidt and his department have gone through our school facilities to make sure that they are secure. They're on a schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, rotating through the schools to make sure that all of the doors stay secure, that we don't have any extra visitors setting up campgrounds as we did after the fires. Also, we have had our safety. They're also making sure that they're delivering and helping with the food distribution as well. So that was our security. We haven't had any incidences during our food distribution, so that's been very pleasant, and we've had a lot of cooperation. Mr. Arjun has been helping with making sure that our staff has been provided with all of the safety materials that they need while distributing, including masks and gloves. He also made a really great effort and helped out our neighborhood hospitals and our police department by redistributing the masks that we had so that they could be used while they were in short supplies at our local hospitals.
Ms. Aguirre, does Mr. Arjun or Mr. Schmidt have any information?
They are both on the line. So Mr. Schmidt, do you want to go ahead and go over the routines that your staff is taking for securing the facilities?
Absolutely. So, good evening, board and all staff listening and attending. Our staff, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, is showing up and walking all school sites, checking all doors and windows to make sure we haven't had any vandalism. That includes any graffiti or anything of that sort. If we do find any, we immediately cover up to graffiti. We've only had one little small incident of that, nothing really worth reporting. We've found no doors to be unlocked. We've found no windows to be ajar. We've actually, quite frankly, been extremely lucky up to this point. We had one visitor at Glen City at the beginning of the week, but once was asked to moved on and has not since returned. That's kind of it, happening Monday, Wednesday, Friday, along with helping out with whatever's needed for CMS and their staff, checking mail, doing that sorts of stuff. At this point is kind of where we've been, what we've been up to.
Anything else to add, Ms. Aguirre, Mr. Schmidt, or Mr. Arjun?
If there are no questions for Mr. Schmidt, then Mr. Arjun, do you want to kind of go over the distribution of the masks for the board, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Good evening, everyone. We were given a great deal of masks during the fires, both the first and second fire by a gentleman by the name of Vern Allstott. gave back to Vern because he's helping out with the Ventura County EOC. And so Kevin and I went over and handed him, I don't know how many cases of, probably 8 or 10 cases of masks just on, I believe it was last Friday. And then he distributed to Santa Paula Hospital as well as VCMC. And the Ventura County EOC distributes it out from a different location. That's where he took it in Oxnard. So it was badly needed at each of the hospitals, and I can't tell you how well received I was as bringing what one lady, as she opened the door for me, called it complete gold nuggets for the hospital. One of the things that we've been working on is how do we distribute the masks and gloves during teachers coming back onto the site, as well as I've been working with Melissa at the high school when she hands out the computers. She's requested gowns, gloves, and masks. So tomorrow I'm going to pass those out to her and have her totally prepared for distribution of the Chromebooks. And we were able to provide masks during at each of the locations where the food was being distributed, and then we'll have masks and gloves when teachers come back onto the site to go to their rooms. And then we just had a little kind of 6 or 8 point criteria of what each of the teachers would do. Essentially, we wanted to make sure that they went from point A to point B, they signed in. Mostly all these little requirements that we're making, don't use restrooms, keep good separation. It's all for the protection of the district, it's all for the protection for the teachers, and if there is any contamination, we would know right where it is. Fortunately, so far we don't have it. That's about it. That's about what we've been working on to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Argent. And so that along with all the protocols that Mr. Argent's been able to put together so that we can get to our administrators and all the services that Mr. Smith and his staff are doing, that's our update.
Board, questions, comments regarding safety?
I want to thank the district for donating back the excess masks to the hospitals, because my daughter Sarah, who graduated from Santa Paula High School, is an ICU nurse at Community, and there is a real shortage, and therefore it is best that we all are in this together. And not that I'm minimizing the use of masks for our staff and that, but as an ICU nurse, she said most of the time people don't wear them properly. So I really do appreciate you giving them to the first responders and those who are truly in need of them. I've had a couple of questions, and maybe Ms. Aguirre can answer this. But some parents have, they have students that have medicines at this school. Has there been a number or a reach out to any of these parents in case they are in need of the medicines that we have stored on behalf of their students?
So we have had very few parents contact us about picking up medicine that they do not have additional refills for, because they've already been allotted their 30-day supply, or because they're not allowed to have more than one, let's say, EpiPen at a time. Those parents have been put in contact with the site principals, who have made appointments with them to pick up their medicine. We are working with our health technicians as soon as we are able to get them back into the site and can schedule that, then they will be making phone calls to have either the parents pick up their medicine or to consent to just keep them on school site if they're non-perishable.
Any other questions from any board members regarding safety, district-wide? Okay, Mr. Geary, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Argent, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move on to our final item before I then close, and what I consider probably the most important, and that's, again, we're here to teach students and for students to learn, and the best we can do in the situation we're in right now is distance learning. And I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Mrs. Sheffley. Sheffley?
Thank you. Good evening. Like Dr. Cora mentioned, Santa Paula Unified School District site and district administrators, alongside with Santa Paula Federation of Teachers Leadership, have been working very closely and as quickly as we can to create and implement a distance learning plan. We are working very closely in referencing state and federal guidelines to ensure equity and access for our English learners, special education students, students on IEPs, and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And so we are, again, working within those guidelines and taking those considerations and keeping them in the forefront as we're creating our plan. We have and are creating a 3-phase distance learning plan. The first phase will focus in on enrichment. And again, we want to make sure that we're keeping all of our students in mind before we move towards a phase in which grades, assignments are being required and reported out. And I'll preface by saying that this Friday I will be participating in a county-wide collaborative of curriculum and instruction leaders in which we will work as a team and receive guidance as how to move forward with possibly assigning grades, requiring assignments, but we are waiting for direction on that. So I'll talk a little bit about Phase 1, enrichment. Phase 1 is focused on 4 areas. The first area that we've worked on was to create a web page on our Santa Paula Unified website to support our families to access free online resources in a variety of content areas. On the website, our resources are broken down into K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12 with several online free resources and many content areas that our parents can access. In addition, we've posted sample schedules that parents might be able or might find useful to continue to create and establish a learning routine at home. We have also posted a mental health newsletter for parents, providing suggestions and strategies for parents to talk to their children regarding these uncertain and scary times for kids. I just want to let the board know that our website is able to be translated in many languages, and all of the resources on there. If you hit the translate button on the lower right-hand side of the home page, it will translate our resources into many languages. Also, we are frequently updating our free resources. We've added PE resources, and we've added a link to all of the take-home packet resources that were distributed. And also on the website, parents can also access the teacher guides as well as kids, because there's a focus on learning. And if kids are using the teacher guides side by side and analyzing their errors and cross-checking on whether or not they got certain items correct, that is valuable, as we all know. The second priority in Phase 1 has been reaching out to our parents and reestablishing that connection and relationship. And that started today. All teachers have received a detailed Phase 1 implementation plan focusing in on family communication and teacher training. Like a colleague mentioned, we have trained teachers on utilizing a program that will allow them to call families from any device that they have without compromising their own personal numbers. In addition, teachers have access to Blackboard Connect as well as they may send emails to parents. And we've also created a parent survey in which we've asked teachers to ask parents a few questions that will help guide us in creating phase 2 and phase 3. We are asking that only one survey be completed per family, and I just want to thank all of our teachers out there who have been working hard all day, and I've heard several positive stories. Teachers feeling good, families feeling good, just to hear from one another. That's that connection of the human spirit. I think that is so important. As of 5 o'clock, we had 2,358 respondents for our family survey. We know that we have about 3,500 unique addresses within the district. So as of 5 o'clock, the data that we have will give us a good pulse, a good representative sample on the type of needs that our families have. And I'll share some results from the 2,358 respondents. I will share that the responses are reflective of all of our schools. The families who answered this survey, about 40% of them have one child who attends one of our schools. About 40% of our families have at least two, and about 20% of the respondents have 3 or more children attending one or more of our schools. And again, our data reflects that these responses are reflective of all 9 of our schools. For example, at Isabel Middle School, we had 873 respondents. Santa Paula High, 1,060, Renaissance, 60, and then responses from all of our elementary schools. One of the questions that we asked our families was, does your home have internet connectivity to support your children who are doing work online? These surveys in English and Spanish. Again, our results indicate that about 88% of our families indicated that they have internet connectivity. And again, we're asking this just to get a pulse. We know it's not going to be precise, but this will help inform what additional support we might need to provide. We did ask, if you currently do not have internet service, would you be interested in 60 days of free internet from a local provider? Of the respondents that indicated that they do not, 43% indicated that they would be interested in looking into free internet service. So our technology department and team will be working to provide additional information for those families in which this might be a viable option for them. But we do know from our survey that for probably many personal and valid reasons, other families might not be able to take advantage of this. And we will pursue options to help those families out as well. We also asked our families, do you have a desktop, laptop, tablet, or other device available at home? 70% of the respondents indicated that they do, about 30% do not. And again, we were gauging, do you have at least one device? Our first priority is to ensure that our families have a device to use if our distance learning plan will move in the online direction. And as we look at our high school kids, if we're going to ask students to turn in work possibly and receive credit, we have to ensure that there's technology available. We also asked our parents, what method of learning do you prefer for your child during this school closure? Take-home packets, online learning, or a combination of both? At the K-5 level, overwhelmingly, our parents are indicating that they want a combination, some packets and some online, followed by take-home packets, and then third, solely online. At the middle school level, same thing. The majority of our families have indicated they'd like a combination of the two, followed by take home and then only online. At the high school, still, the majority of our families indicated a combination, but the online learning ranked a little higher than take-home packets only, and that's understandable with our older students. So again, this is just a representative sample. It allows us to get a pulse, and it allows us to continue to move forward, taking into consideration the needs of our families and our communities. We are asking families only to complete one survey. Again, we know it's not going to give us precise, but it'll give us enough information to build. We are asking our families, if they are taking this online, to please complete it by Thursday. That way we can, again, quickly move forward into our next phase. That is the second focus area. The third focus area is today all of our elementary schools and Isbell Middle School distributed at-home learning packets in reading and mathematics. We know that best practices, especially right now, is to provide our students with review material, knowing that they haven't had access to their teachers to learn new material. So we did utilize take-home packets that focus on review concepts that parents can access online if they are unable or are uncomfortable coming to the site to pick up. Dr. Cora has some numbers as to how the packet delivery went, but overwhelmingly we had high numbers of parents coming out, very, very appreciative community members. Other community members saying, are they available online? We're not able to come out right now. So again, it's about giving our community some options. I heard from many teachers and staff members that there were many exchanges of smiles from the car to the distribution site. And again, there's a sense of security with seeing that teacher, that principal, and just knowing things are going to be okay. And we're working on it as fast as we can. We're expecting to receive some guidance from Ventura County Office of Education in terms of requiring assignments and grading. These packets are voluntary and are meant to continue the learning at home and again, support our parents to establish a learning routine. We have advertised the packets through social media, and also our high school teachers reached out today, and we encouraged our high school teachers to identify an activity connected to their content that students can begin reviewing, whether that be reviewing a chapter in a biology textbook, rereading a certain section from a novel, because we know a more formalized learning program is coming. We need to keep the kids in a routine. In regards to our students taking advanced placement, AP classes, College Board has put out some nice resources that we've posted on our social media site. And there's also an update under the Educational Services webpage. Online classes for AP students began today with a live instructor, and I believe the College Board will continue to provide guidance on that. What we are hearing from the College Board is they do plan to administer AP tests online, and they will continue to provide guidance to our students as to what the test format might look like. But if our students are taking AP courses, there is a log-on that they need to be able to access. So we encourage all parents, go onto our website, go onto our social media, Google College Board, and the website is doing a really nice job with outlining those expectations. We do plan to do another distribution of activities towards the end of next week. Depending on feedback and guidance, that will either be on-site distribution or we will mail them home or a combination of both. We know that guidance and this disease is changing on an hourly basis, and we will continue to monitor, collaborate, and do what's best for our families and give them options. The fourth focus area of phase 1 will be focused in on Chromebook distribution. This week, again, thank you so much to our classified staff, our certificated librarian, custodial staff, everyone for going into our schools, and we have cleaned every single Chromebook. We have also, since we were not one-to-one take-home, we had to inventory every single Chromebook and put it into our Destiny system. That has been completed. And Chromebooks are ready for checkout. I've been working closely with our high school administrators, Ms. Garcia and Dr. Gillette, to implement a distribution plan for Friday. We will get that information out to parents tomorrow mid-morning. Our focus is going to be on the high school and our high school students to get Chromebooks to students as soon as possible. We'll begin with juniors and seniors and then schedule a second day to distribute Chromebooks to our freshmen and sophomore students. And again, I do want to emphasize, I am awaiting guidance in regards to grading, turning in assignments, and all districts are in the same spot. Our teachers are working hard behind the scenes right now, getting certified, taking trainings in Google Classroom, and I've received numerous emails and texts. I've seen Twitter posts on just our amazing folks starting to develop Google Classroom. So, Parents Board, rest assured there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and our teachers are working really hard to get those platforms set up. Students and parents will be asked to sign a contract. We are finalizing that right now. When they pick up the Chromebook, and we are creating a distribution plan with social distancing in mind to keep everyone safe, staff, students, and their parents. So more information will come out. And again, we are researching alternative methods. From our survey, we know about 30% of our families still need access to internet. So we'll get the Spectrum information out, and then our tech director is pursuing other options to support our students. So that is the focus of phase 1. Our teachers are engaging in a lot of training right now. They have received a detailed 4-page plan of training opportunities, live links to videos, resources from the California Department of Education. We are following CDE's guidance on distance learning programs, and we're using that guidance to create our plan. Phase 2 will continue with the above mentioned focus areas, and again, that'll happen next week, and prepare for a second distribution. The high school will be working to formalize interaction and communication with their students, as well as formalizing classroom assignments. Like I said, they're building right now, and more information will come out early next week. And again, we're hoping to have some guidance on Friday in regards to grading and requiring assignments. After we distribute Chromebooks to our high school students, we will reassess, determine inventory, and then determine the next grade span to distribute Chromebooks to. But our first priority will be our high school students right now. And then phase 3, I think that's where we're all working together as a county, as a state right now. Phase 3, we anticipate we will roll out phase 3 after spring break. And in phase 3, we are anticipating a formalized distance learning plan. And we are preparing and training folks to do that right now. So the last 8 days has been on phase 1. And again, just want to commend everyone, classified certificated administrators, on their hard work. You know, we know that this is going to be a learning process for everyone. Teachers, schools, families, and we're expecting challenges. We know that those challenges are going to happen, and when they happen, we're going to keep designing. We're taking on a philosophy: implement, reflect, adapt, and repeat. And that's what we need to do. It's the cycle we're in. We do want to remind our parents and our families the best thing you can do right now is spend time with your children, read to them, talk to them, reassure them that we will get through this together. And their teachers and principals and all support staff are working really hard to make sure that we continue learning and continue to support everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shefferly. To the board, questions, comments, where we're at, what's happening, where we're going?
Well, first off, I want to commend Ms. Shefferly as well as everybody in the education department and classified employees to make this plan go forward. As we all know, it's not an easy thing to do. This is something that we've never had to do in our lifetime. And I think that it's going to be a challenge, but if we all work together, we can get through this, including parents and students and staff. I have a couple of questions. I think the first question that I came up with was, when you go to the meeting with the rest of the assistant soups and you talk about grades going forward, can you bring up the subject about athletics? Let's say, you know, I mean, we're supposed to go back on May 4th or something like that. Let's say that it goes longer and kids don't go back to school for the semester. How will that affect their semester grades for grade check if they don't play football during the summer or fall? Eligibility, yes, for that. So look into how that will affect them, because I know a lot of the students right now are going through the makeup process and doing makeup work, and you know, and all of a sudden they're just cut off. They can't turn it in. Right. So you did mention that you're going to be talking about grades, but if you could bring something up with that question, that'd be great.
You could also reach out to CIF. I'm sure that's you know, we'll get guidance on that. Thank you.
Perfect. And then next question is in regards to special education. This might be a Catherine issue, might be a severe issue as well. But how do we ensure, you know, that these students are getting the services that they really need that we're not necessarily providing in the school district because they're not as class? You know, and I just want to make sure that we're not missing out on those kids that do the 504 plans and the IEPs and everything else like that.
Very important. Ms. Aguirre, would you like to comment on special education students?
I think they're off. So, but I will say this. There was a public comment that was made earlier about equity. And there was another comment that was made about why can't the assignments be graded at this point. It all has to do with equity. And so we need to make sure that every single student, regardless, English language learner, especially, it doesn't matter. There's equity across the board. So a lot of the work is still in place. And again, we are not alone in this. That's why when Ms. Sheffield goes to a meeting on Friday, all county reps are talking the same language because we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, and it's actually a virtual meeting. We're not bringing large groups of individuals together, but I will make sure that I personally make contact with Mrs. Aguirre and address the concerning question.
So it sounds like we're asking our parents to hang on, be patient, because I got a call this afternoon right before the meeting saying, you know, what about my daughter? She doesn't need much pushing. she's self-starter. So some parents' concerns are, how do they keep the momentum going? So let me see if I understand this. The first phase is enrichment. And what do you mean by enrichment? You mean as far as like establishing a study routine? Kind of like soft skills?
Enrichment in that the assignments and the resources that we're providing are not mandatory, nor will be turned in or graded. And again, that goes back to the access and equity issue. We need to make sure that we're thinking about all students, and students that have accommodations and special needs speak second languages. So what we could do right now is provide resources. And again, I encourage all families establish a routine. There's also, Ms. Aguirre posted some suggestions for parents. Get your child up at the same time every morning. Have them make their bed, do some chores, allocate some time for reading. I will be working with the Accelerated Reader Program to ensure that kids can take the test at home. So I anticipate that happening within the next 24 hours. Read with your child, read to them, have conversations.
Okay.
So it's all enrichment, not mandatory, voluntary.
So I'm sure that reduces the stress for many, many parents and families. And this particular parent's, her concern was, I don't want to lose my child's momentum, but we're getting there. It's an incremental process.
Absolutely.
And, I just want to point out that some of our kids have parents who are ag workers. They have to go to work. They're not there to make sure their child has structure. So whatever this school district can do to make it easier for those families. And it really sounds like we're on the right track of making things as fair as possible. I really, really appreciate the parent survey and how you've offered, or it's been offered, the 60 days free internet. That's really, really remarkable and commendable. And so, again, I think you've gone above and beyond your duties as an instructional leader, and I know this board appreciates your presentation tonight, because we don't want to lose what students are going through.
Absolutely. And it's been a team. I've had the pleasure to serve as the orchestrator of this, but there are many, many folks, teachers, classified administrators, who are all working virtually right now, online, through Zoom, phone conferencing, making all of these things happen. We are on pace. We are not behind. Most districts in the county are calling phase 1 enrichment. Our 3-phase plan was taken from other districts. We're all working together. Those districts who have children who already have the laptops at home are able to jump on this a bit quicker. But again, those who do not have been doing the same thing Santa Paula Unified is doing, is cleaning Chromebooks, inventorying them, coming up with distribution plans to get those out to students. And our school sites, I've looked at some websites. Our teachers are recording videos. They're reading to kids. There's wonderful things happening. And again, we will move forward. We are going to move forward. I'm a parent of a child who's a senior in high school right now. I identify, I hear, I worry alongside all the rest of us parents who have seniors right now. But we're going to figure this out. We just have to make sure access and equity, and we're all in it for kids, and we want the best for kids. And so we're going to work real hard to support our families and to support our kids.
I agree with
Mr. Gist, because we are in uncharted times, and as a mother of 9 children in a 3-bedroom home, I can identify with having children home, and at this point, that's where they're supposed to stay. So as we are in these uncharted waters, we also need not beat ourselves up, because learning is defined as acquiring knowledge. And as you know, books are timeless. And so I came across this book. It was written in 1936 at the height of the Depression by James Mannion. And it's entitled, You Can Do Anything. He defined areas how to acquire knowledge. And he highlighted some of these areas. You need to practice. So just become good at what you know. You need to ask. Ask someone in your house, anywhere, when, where, how, what, why. You need to experiment, but please get permission from your parents first. You need to read to understand, and the best way to do that is to actually write and explain to yourself what you read. And you need to observe what's around you, but stay 6 feet apart. And so knowledge can be attained by reading, writing, doing the assignments assigned, researching, watching a video, and please, even your daily chores. However, to accomplish this, you must set daily obtainable goals. The worst possible thing you can do as a parent, as a student, is to not have a plan for the next day. Because one day becomes the next day becomes the next day. So you need to set very short-term goals. You need to develop good habits over time, and that can start now. And more importantly, you need to believe in yourself. Therefore, in these unusual times, some things never change, such as gaining knowledge. Use your time wisely to acquire all the knowledge you can, because we believe in you and we are here to help. So just take the pressure off and each day gain a little bit more of knowledge.
That was wonderful, Mrs. Coleman.
You almost clapped. That was great. And I just wanted to add, besides all the things that's going out in every direction in this district, it's amazing how everybody has stepped up, and with everything going on in their homes, as a board, I know we're all just so thankful for every member of our staff. It's just been amazing. I want to thank the teachers especially for the learning packets. We know that some of the things going out are for practice, but that's so that we don't backslide, like during the summer. We can't afford to do that. We have to practice what we've learned, and so the first phase of the enrichment with all of the activities being sent home and trying to get as many of our students online as possible for those extra resources is wonderful. And I just wanted to add to Mrs. Colbeck's, just have fun with your family. There's going to be so much time at home. And these are where memories are made. If you've been on social media, you've seen some of the fun things that parents have done, the crazy things they've done. And those are the things that kids are going to remember in the future. So along with all the knowledge that we talked about, it's just making memories too.
I want to say I was really excited when you said that the AR program will be available real soon. And because, at least when I was at the high school, I'm sure it's the same now. The kids in my classes, the students in my classes were required to read it went up incrementally, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, but my seniors, they had to read like 40, they had to get 40 AR points, and that was part of their grade. And I would not be surprised if the teachers I would, at this point, if I was in the classroom, give a little extra credit if they read more than that, because it's something they actually can be graded on. And reading is, practicing the reading is going to help you in everything.
And I think we're not going to be able to control everything. I was speaking to another educator, and we were talking about the elementary kids, and you know, what if the parent is taking the test with the child? And I said, how wonderful if the parent and the child are reading together, and the parent is reading questions, and the student has their book open and they're going back into the text to find the evidence and to find the support to complete a quiz. And we know that we're not going to be able, things aren't going to be perfect, but if that promotes parents and children and older brothers and sisters working together to support literacy, that's a win. So it's going to require all of us, even as educators, to think flexibly, and it's going to work.
Any other questions for Ms. Shefferly on the distance learning plan? So my closing is, I'm going to close this section with one of the things I said during my superintendent report, and that is, I want to reassure the Board of Trustees that we have a very hard-working staff that's committed to providing the best education possible for our students under the unusual circumstances that we are currently facing. So we'll continue to build this plane as we're in the air with all the other districts, and it will be completed, and we'll have a smooth sailing for as long as we have to go through these school closures. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. And now we will move on to board member comments and requests. Ms. Urias, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I would like to know if it is possible to have, if we continue in this manner, and which we might, our next board meeting is April 8th, if we could have a translator here. I think it's important that we have Lusma or whoever continue to translate the board meetings, because this is a lot of good information. This is very, very critical information. And I think it's important that we continue to have a translator. So I would hope that we can look into that. Second of all, I wanted to say that our law firm, AALRR, has been giving us daily updates as to the law pertaining to the COVID, how do you say it, the virus. I think we're really lucky that we have access to them. They are on it. They are on it as far as the latest laws regarding it, and they're keeping us updated through emails. And I'm just really happy that they are our law firm and that we have access to them, to go to them for legal analysis of all these situations that none of us have ever dealt with. And I wanted to, I'll finish with, I've been lucky enough to be one of those parents that can stay home and work from home. I realize that not everybody has the opportunity to do that, so I know I'm extremely lucky. I started this Monday. Prior to Monday, March 23rd, I was very, very stressed, being away from the family all day and then coming home and having those small hours in the evening. So I've been reading scripture, and I wanted to say that friends have been so critical to me. We can't do it. We're supposed to isolate, but we can't self-isolate. We need others, and I can't tell you how much I've been blessed with friendship. And I just felt I needed to say that, because here I am, 60-something years old, and stressed and scared. And but now I'm calm now, and very, very feel very fortunate that we're meeting here today and we're getting such glowing reports from everybody, and they're very positive. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Julius. And Mr. Eric Lehman.
First off, I want to once again thank all of our staff for working tremendously on this. I know it's a tiring job and it's something that none of us have ever faced before, but I want to commend each and every one of you from the top down. This takes a collaborative effort, and I feel that everyone here in this district is working hard to get everything that they need regarding information out to parents, etc. And so I just wanted you to know that you will be commended for that. And next thing, I want the students that may be listening out there in TV land to know that the teachers do not want to be away from you guys right now, girls out there, students out there, that teachers want to be in the classroom with you. And so this isn't a time where they're out on vacation away from you. They're trying their best at their homes to figure out how to enrich your educational opportunities. And so just know that you have caring teachers within the school district who are looking out for you and looking into your benefits for your future. So I want you all as students and parents out there to take this seriously, take the time to bond with your kids and enrich their lives in regards to advancing their education, because this time off, with this time off, it's definitely easy to get off track. And I want all people out there listening to know that the teachers are here to support the kids, and the kids have, the support that they need. And it's only an email away or a phone call away, as you said, the chef there's able to call their teachers, and teachers are able to call parents. So if we can all work together, this will be done effectively, and I just want to thank everybody for working together.
So much. Thank you, Mr. Lehman. And now we'll go over to Mrs. Goldberg.
I too commend the staff, and I also commend the parents, because it's going to be a new era for them. So that is something. It also, it brings home the ripple effect. We felt it with the Thomas fire, is that many of us can, survive these kinds of things because we have jobs that haven't been cut, because we have savings, because we don't live paycheck to paycheck. However, because of our demographics, that's not the case. So, as I mentioned in the past, I'm the executive director of the pregnancy clinic. And so I want to thank Dr. Cora, Mrs. Mead, and Mrs. Thompson's church, and Miss Aguirre, and even Miss Shefferly, who has helped us supply formula, diapers, and clothes to not only many moms in Ventura County, but particularly our teen moms. Because if you think about it, you start getting down, you're not supposed to go out, you can't find it, you can't afford it. And I know Dr. Cora was surprised at how much formula was, and they probably looked at him when he bought formula, but that's okay, never mind. And I also want to thank Mrs. Forbes, who is our district mental health liaison, because she's the one who has actually been reaching out to the teen parents. And they know that we are still reaching out to them. And so there are many, many resources, and it's great having a community step up. But it's the longer it goes, the worse it gets, so thank you for the lunches. There's going to be a new posting for a community food bank that will be put out by Food Shares, so maybe we can post that on the website. We're just going to have to be a conduit for a lot of resources. And I also am concerned because there's been posting, what do you do when you become depressed? Well, I don't know about you, but after 40 years being home with my husband the whole time, I might become depressed. So. But I also want to thank Mr. Allen for coming out streaming this. However, as we know, we don't have the streaming down pat yet because we don't have the new equipment that we finally are going to be getting with the grant that was proposed at the last meeting. Therefore, I'm wondering if we can't make the audio of this meeting available as soon as possible, because we've had trouble with people hearing in the past when they've tried to stream at home. Also, any notes that people spoke from tonight, maybe you can quickly clean them up and even post them, because the information is invaluable. And any other way of getting the information out tonight to our parents and the public, because while we were able to hear it all, I'm not sure the public that we wanted to reach is able to hear it. So again, I commend you, and each day is a new learning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colbeck. Ms. Lee?
I think the previous board members have pretty much summed up everything I wanted to say, except I just wanted to say again, every staff member here, from Dr. Cora all the way down to everyone at the sites, it's just been amazing. And even taking it out further to the community, how our community has really stepped up and how everyone is thinking of different resources to make it easier on the families and our students, parents. It's just been amazing what's happened in the last few days. And the one thing that I didn't know that warmed my heart tonight were all those masks that have been sitting there going back to the community. I had no idea. So thank you for giving back.
Well, I really don't think there's much I can say that hasn't already been said, and what wonderful comments the board members have had. I want to say thank you to Cabinet, who's been working so hard, to Dr. Cora, to everybody who's been here tonight, and to all of you out there. Hopefully this makes you feel better, that you have more confidence now knowing a lot more things, and that we're in good hands, and it's a day-by-day learning potential to see what to do and how to do it the best way. And I'm really excited about the way everyone's working together. I just hope everyone will observe the social distancing as much as possible. I know it's really difficult, but if we can just keep doing that like we're doing it tonight, to set the example. And you all, some of the high school kids that want to congregate together, just resist that, because get back to school all the faster, and we can take care of some of the things that we're worried about. So I think with that, I'm going to adjourn this session at 7:31. Thank you all for listening.
Okay.